when did this multiplication bug catch up with you? You are very strong as a trainer, as a coach on multiplication. So tell us something about your ministry.
Yeah, sure. Well, when God called me to the unreached, I knew that's what God wanted me to do, to work with people who had never had a chance to hear. And the same exact summer, the Lord called my husband, who was my close friend at the time, and we decided to get married and kind of headed that direction. We went to Bible school and got a degree in cross-cultural ministry. And there we learned about church planting among the unreached and some really great principles at the time. At that time, movements and things that we talk about today had not really taken off. Obviously, movements had been happening for centuries and happened in the New Testament, but we didn't use those terms back then. And so really, when we left Bible college and headed to the field, our biggest goal was just to plant one church among the unreached. And that was our dream, that we could start one church among people who'd never heard of Jesus before. We went to the country of Nepal and started to work there. And then George Patterson, some of you have heard of George or know George, one of the fathers of the multiplication movement, really. And he came to visit Nepal and he ran a seminar, and it was through hearing George talk that we began to catch a vision for more than just one church, but to plant a church that would have daughter churches and granddaughter churches and begin to multiply. But then I've kind of grown with the movement strategy as it's developed, and later, of course, read David Garrison's book about CPM's church planting movements and was struck by that and said, wow, we need that. And really the needs of the unreached just demand greater multiplication, and the need of the lost, I think, is that passion and burden for those who've never had a chance to hear, and that if we don't do something more than traditional church planting, they never will. And we won't see the unreached reached. And so that's what's driven me towards a multiplication mindset and passion, and do whatever we have to do to see multiplication take off, particularly in unreached areas. So,
Cindy, in the beginning, you, as I mentioned, you are a person with determination. You went on sitting on scooters with your baby in your lap, preaching in the villages.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We went to Nepal. I was pregnant with our first daughter. And back then, we work with Youth with a Mission. Sometimes we call YWAM Youth Without Any Money. And we didn't have much of a budget, but we did have a little scooter, and we had a little baby. So a little scooter and a little baby and big mountains in Nepal. And we would put our little baby in a front pack, one of those little bags that you carry on the front, and cover up with all the raincoats and drive the scooter up the mountains, down the mountains to the villages. Whoa. And try to look for persons of peace. And that's where we started the first church that then became a movement there in Nepal, is in a valley area about 3 hours outside of the capital, Kathmandu.